before 10,000 people that Lawler is nothing. I wanted to show it before 10 million people. You are a liar.
I'm not, Terry. Why don't we talk about
I
it
want to
later?
show the people here that
Lawler
I'm the
is
meanest man in professional wrestling. I am the meanest man in professional wrestling. I'm going to show you. I'll show you. Who can I wrestle?
We don't have anybody here. We don't have. Hey, come on, Terry. No, don't. Now, listen. Don't get involved in this thing. Terry Funk. Oh, boy. Terry Funk, out of nowhere, comes into the area. Jimmy Hart tells the Nightmares to get out of there and let him have it. The referee, Paul Watson, that's going to be a disqualification in there. Leonard fired into the rope. He's kicked out on the floor. It's Funk. Come on now, Terry, get out of there. Rich Winter tied up and he slammed down as Funk. He's got no business in here. He's got his beef. He can settle some other time. He doesn't even have any business being here. Leonard put back down. Terry Funk, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, dumped over, slammed into the camera. Now he's pounded on Leonard. Oh, man. Hey.
Somebody's yelling.
It sounds like Terry's squealing like a pig.
Terry Funk's beef with Lawler has nothing to do with a young fella like Tim Leonard up there.
Lance Russell was the calmest wrestling announcer ever.
Says, come on, Terry. Hey. Okay. Terry, can we just take it on out and we'll talk about it later? Lawler is not here. Now, I can't say it any plainer than that. He's in Florida.
I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you one thing. I am the meanest man in professional wrestling. And you're on Lawler's side.
I'm not on Lawler's side. I just don't want the trouble that you're...
The referee's on Lawler's side. You idiots are on Lawler's side. And evidently, the airplane people are on Lawler's side because they informed him that I was coming here. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I am going to take Lawler. And I'm going to...
Come on, Terry.
They don't make them like this anymore.
No.
Okay.
That was a real chair, too.
I'm going to take him out. I'm going to take him out. Not for a short time.
I wish I had caught all of it.
Take him out for a
Come on, please. Will you just... Hey.
I moved here.
Well...
I'm moving here. I'm not leaving.
It looks like he has a scrambled egg over his eye.
It does.
This area's horse.
Where's the bacon? Because I see nothing but ham.
And believe me, I am gonna be the biggest set around.
Okay, we'll talk to you about it later. Terry Funk, please, move him out now. I'll tell you what we better do. Let's take a break, and we'll be back.
That's Bill Cosby right there.
And cue the intro.
Probably gonna get demonetized now after playing that song.
Possibly, I think. Who did they take that from? Kool and the Gang, the Commodores? I don't know.
I don't know.
But that was classic Memphis wrestling.
That was definitely classic. I don't even know what the hell was going on there, but Obviously, apparently he was looking for Jerry the King Lawler or something, right?
Yeah, this is actually the follow-up to a match that they had where apparently they did the eye gimmick, and I'm not sure if this was before or after their empty arena match.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's probably way before that. Yeah, I would imagine.
Possibly.
But yeah, unfortunately, we saw earlier today that Terry Funk, one of my favorite wrestlers, he had passed away today. So
Yes.
that's why I played that intro there. I didn't have a video ready to go. James sent that earlier in our message, so I thought maybe that was going to be a really cool video. It was pretty cool, but I wanted something a little bit more Terry Funk that I remember. But still cool to see something that old because I never saw that before. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
rest in peace, Terry Funk, 79 years old, former NWA World Heavyweight Champ, former ECW World Heavyweight Champ, many regional championships won in the different territories that he grew up. He was one of my dad's 3 favorite wrestlers, him, Bruno, and Dusty.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. My parents always hated wrestling, but you know what? When I used to watch like earlier videos of him, and when he was with his brother a lot, I never saw. Oh, there goes Greg. Greg's gonna have terrible internet connection tonight. His heat where he is right now is terrible.
Yes, bear with us.
So bear with him. But me and Lou should still be here.
No, I'm here. Okay, we're good. Stop it, Wayne.
You did it. Seeing Terry Funk like early on with his brother and stuff like that, I just didn't see what he ended up becoming. Like when I finally got to see like the death matches with Cactus Jack, and then when he was in ECW and he's doing fucking moonsaults at like what 60 years old or something like that.
53 when
53.
My father and I watched him do a moonsault on Barely Legal, the first ever ECW pay-per-view. And my father and my brothers and I are like, did he just do a moonsault at his age? Over Sandman wearing the garbage can over the top of his body.
It was insane, man. And just, I never saw, I never saw him, becoming what he became like that early on. And then he was just like, he was awesome like back in the day, but like that ECW stuff, like I always remember that. And it made me a really, really huge fan of him. And I was always pissed off because, he went to WWE and they put a sock over his face and they made him hold up the chainsaw Charlie gimmick thing.
You're talking about in the 90s, right?
Yeah. So that kind of pissed me off because, I wanted to see him there because ECW was kind of like fading away almost at that point. So, when it was cool that they brought him in, and everybody knew because I was at that show. I was at that was at MSG when him and Cactus Jack came out of that box or whatever. And you could tell who it was, you could just by the way he's walking, and the sounds and stuff that he was making. But it was just so cool to see him there, doing that.
You can't hide Chainsaw Charlie's scream.
No. But it's just a shame that he passed away. An older guy. He's how old was he?
He was 79.
79. Okay. But yeah, he's he put his body through a lot. Wrestling, those guys put their bodies through a lot of shit. And a lot of people, the outcomes are fake, the matches are predetermined and stuff like that. But
well, the inaction's not fake. I mean,
that's not what I meant. But the outcomes, the matches are made.
It's predetermined entertainment.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to put this in not that I'm like putting it down. But yeah, the predetermined.
Yeah, don't be a Mark Madden.
No. But the things that they do in that ring are real. They do get hurt. We have a friend, Eric Adamz. He's a wrestler and he's gotten hurt. He's been wrestling for how long now? He's 15
since the late
years?
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. he's had concussions. He's had scars. What they do for the believability factor is very real. I mean, Roddy Piper had a steel hip implant. Right. He had a broken wrist. Terry Funk. You know what? Not even Terry Funk. Sabu. That scar across his chest. He got that in Japan.
Yeah.
But to kind of piggyback on what you were saying before about what he would have become. let's not forget that in the 70s, when wrestling was all territorial, meaning that there was no national company, there was no WWE at the time, there was Capital Sports or Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And at the time, I think that they were an NWA subsidiary the way the rest of them were. I mean, you had some outlaw promotions that had nothing to do with the NWA, but I think Memphis did, and Florida did, and Georgia did, and New York did. So so Terry Funk would go from territory to territory, whether it be Texas or Detroit or Florida or Georgia, and he'd wrestle the Sheik, he'd wrestle Abdullah the Butcher, he'd wrestle in Japan. He had some bloody matches in Japan. So blading was part of how to keep kayfabe alive, especially in the 70s, when the whole point was trying to sell off the illusion that it was real. But Sheik would use pencils in his match. Abdullah had his fork. I mean, really, how the hell Abdullah's still alive, but Terry Funk isn't? It's crazy. But the whole reason why FMW started was, I think it was Terry's time in Memphis when Onita came. Atsushi Onita, former FMW founder, he did that. What was it? That open concession match, I think, where they were just using every weapon in the concession stand.
Oh yeah.
So that kind of sowed the seeds for what would happen in Japan with IWA Japan's King of the Death match and all of Onita's barbed wire and fire matches. So Terry was very instrumental in what would become. But the crazy thing is, I didn't think he'd do him in the 90s at his age.
Right.
Like it's always hard to see somebody you care about bleeding, because you cared about Terry, but Terry Funk, when he was a face, and he was so soft spoken and he talked like this, and it's just like, oh, he's a lovable little guy, you just want to give a hug.
Right. And
then when you go into heel mode where he'd be crazy, it's like, I'm not surprised he's bleeding in his matches. And Terry Funk, he did and said some crazy stuff. Like, I remember, I think I read one where and forgive me for anyone out there who's Polish, but one of the things he said was, I know you're Polish, so I'm gonna say this slow so you understand me better. And I'm just like, oh shit. Like, what they got away with back then is insane.
Right.
But Terry played up the heel role without using cheap heat. I don't think he ever used cheap heat.
Right.
And when he was a face, you couldn't help but get behind him.
Right. Yeah. It's I like you said, watching him bleed in the middle of the ring with all the the barbed wire stuff that he did and everything, and it's all wrapped around him. I remember a lot of matches like that, and I'm just like, oh my God, man, this guy's insane. But he very entertaining wrestler. He was just awesome, and it was I have a bunch of his figures too, some of the WWF and the ECW stuff. The figures I collected, and just he was just a great wrestler to watch. He's always very entertaining, and I always enjoyed any match that I watched to him. And so it's a lot of good memories watching him wrestle.
Yeah, I'm so glad that ECW, he took a chance on them, because he saw that there were a bunch of young guys in the company that he wanted to help put over, and like at his age, to purposely want to put guys over, I think that says more about him than it says about some of the other quote unquote living legends that I'm not going to mention them and try to draw them any cheap heat. Hulk Hogan. I don't want to mention any of the wrestlers and try to make them look bad. Ric Flair. I don't want to, sorry, I'm pulling a New Jack right now. Anyway.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, well, Greg's messaging me here. Oh, he keeps losing signal. So unfortunately, yeah, he's just annoyed. The last few weeks, Greg's internet has been really crappy. So
I blame Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, because that's where
right?
Greg's coming from. Don't tell me your internet doesn't work, Greg Noggle.
I actually like Jesse. Jesse's pretty cool. I used
He's
to watch his
nuts.
show. He is nuts, but he's interesting. He's fun.
I mean, it's funny because Terry Funk in his interviews, when he's not playing up the role, comes off as very soft spoken.
Yeah.
When Jesse Ventura is getting interviewed, it's like one conspiracy after the other. I tried watching that Theo Vaughn interview with him, and I don't think Theo got one word in edgewise.
It's funny though. I was listening to him do an interview. He really didn't believe in a lot of those conspiracy theories. He was just doing the show. They wanted him to do it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You saying Jesse Ventura pulled the work on us?
Yeah.
Well, I can't trust any man who thinks Bernie Sanders would be a great choice, but I digress. Anyways.
But it confused me too, because then his son started doing it. So I don't know if he's like not telling the truth both ways. I don't know. Who knows?
It's all a work with these guys. We know. Remember, first they were, okay, yeah, granted, yeah, he was a Navy SEAL, okay, but remember, he was a wrestler, okay? And this is the guy that Vince McMahon, said, when he asked, what do you want me to do in the mic? And Vince's words were, bury them. That's what he did.
Yeah.
And James is on the show.
Yes. Hey, sorry about that, guys. I was just finishing up the other one I was doing and having a ball doing that. And I'm glad I get to jump in for at least some Funker stuff.
Yeah, yes, James is the Rick Rude of Ratsai Review. Catch him in 3 places in one night.
But, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm here to gimmick everything if I gotta.
What was your story, Lou?
Here's an interesting story from that Tommy Dreamer stated in regards to how far he was willing to go to put ECW over. So, all right. So I'm quoting directly from an interview right now with Dreamer. In our politically correct world that we live in, you're talking to someone who actually wanted to get shot for real in ECW because I was hardcore. I could take a bullet. I wanted to hire a sniper and get shot, grazed this way in the shoulder. Me and Paul Heyman were arguing about it for a long, long time. And this was during the whole Todd Gordon WCW mole story, which was a work, as Todd Gordon recently expressed on Francine's Eyes Up Here podcast. Shout out to Francine. And I wanted to come back. We would have gotten national news if Tommy Dreamer got shot. This was before the whole internet. We were going to hire a sniper. Can you say mass transit, anyone? So anyway, me and Paul are going back and forth, and he's like, what if a bullet hits a fan? What if it shoots through your shoulder, goes somewhere else? Again, not caring that I want to get shot. How many concussions have you had, Tommy? But caring about if we hurt or injure possibly shoot or kill a fan. And the voice of reason for this insane argument, and this really did happen, was Terry Funk. He was like, I'm going to see if I can do this my best Terry impersonation. It'll never work. It'll never work. And Paul was like, thank you. Thank you. And Terry goes, when my father got shot in Amarillo, the house went down. And I was like, what? Because I was a guy who always wanted to do something first. His father got shot on television with a .22. And then they came back in a Texas death match. He goes, if you don't come back and kill the guy that shot you, the fans don't believe in it. So that's why we never did it. Think of that crazy mentality, wrestling fans. I'm hardcore. I wanted to get shot. Thank you, Terry Funk, from saving Tommy Dreamer from doing something absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
Well, especially he wasn't in Kentucky where they were shooting at the wrestlers at that time. Because, if you ever watched it with Tennessee stud Ron Fuller talked about it. One time Ron Wright got somebody so worked up, a guy in Kentucky literally took out his revolver and started shooting at the ring. And Fuller goes to the sheriff there. Hey, you gonna do anything about it? He goes, nah, if he wanted to hit him, he would.
Good Lord.
So
And Terry Funk was the one that warned all the ECW guys. He said, listen, if you get so much heat with the fans, and if like you feel them touching your back, make sure that when you get to your car, when you get to the back, check to see if you got stabbed. Because like some of these fans were nuts.
Yeah, it's God. I listen to Jim Cornette's podcast all the time, and hearing him tell the stories about when people used to follow him and stuff like that. He used to carry a gun with him.
Homa, Louisiana.
Oh my God, man! It's like it's these people took it so like real, like it was real to them. It's amazing.
No, I mean a lot. That's the one thing I hated about the death of kayfabe was that ran away. I mean, say what you want nowadays and everything, but I think the wrestling business and everything was a lot more fun when everyone thought it was real.
Of course.
I mean, I'll just never forget as a kid going to my first ECW match and seeing RVD, Bobby Duncan Jr., and Little Guido all pulling a car together. And like all the fans started, RVD had the worst heat out of all of them because they were still yelling the "you sold out" at him because he was sided with Lawler and the whole WWF thing.
Yeah.
But just to see the three of them come out of the car, and I remember Guido mouthing off to Bobby Duncan Jr. He's like, God, I wish we were getting some of this heat. But RVD was really getting the heat.
See, I wish I would have been. I wish I could have seen more ECW back when it was actually like like popular and hot. Only because like hardcore TV was so hard to see. When they actually got on Spike was the only time I actually got to watch them.
Oh wow!
So like devoted watching. Like I'd see hardcore TV every once in a while, but it wasn't like a lot. So I got to see Candido and Dreamer a little bit, but nothing like I could have, like I remember when Don Marie came out as Tommy Lynn Bitch instead of, making fun of Sonny. So I remember when that all happened on hardcore TV, but that was about the soonest there. For me, Terry Funk it's all about Memphis with Lawler. Everything, him and Lawler doing the empty arena show, the fight, just all the promos he cut. The one where he beats up the jobbers and he's like screaming on high, like an high pitch.
That's the one we played.
We just show that. But I mean, he was so good because he made you believe in what he was doing. He sold it perfectly, and he loved the fans. There was nothing that he wouldn't have done for the fans, and
did you guys talk about the West Texas, like all the people who came from West Texas, the university?
No, we haven't. Go ahead.
So, I mean, if you just take a little stroll on who some of the notable people, professional wrestlers that played football at West Texas.
Manny Fernandez was one of them.
Manny Fernandez was one of them. That Dusty Rhodes guy was one of them. That Bruiser Brody guy. Let's see, Stan Hansen. Hold on, I had it pulled up here for a second here. Let me go back to it. That Tully Blanchard guy. He's Ted DiBiase, Dory was there also. Heath Herring, UFC fighter, also in Pride. You had Dick Murdoch, Tito Santana, and Barry Windham.
So
All
basically, a who's who of 70s and 80s classic wrestlers.
I mean, if you turned on All Japan in the 80s, yes, you were seeing someone from West Texas University wrestle in the event. Which, by the way, have you guys watched that Stan Hansen, Terry Funk All Japan matches?
No.
Oh God, they're so good. I mean, it's the only time. I mean, you obviously see it like as it starts. Terry Funk's going to get blood because it's Stan Hansen.
Right. And let's not forget what he did to Vader's ear in Japan.
Exactly. But like it's so weird because like if you see it, the crowd absolutely loved Terry Funk, like crawling over him, hugging him to see him. And then of course the funny part is, sorry, as I'm sending you guys the link, to it. The craziness that was going on with that, because they sold it as a fight. They were fighting. They went closed fist punch. They went hard. They were doing the hard ways in Japan. And just to watch them do the fight, watching Terry Funk, who always played the bigger, tougher guy, to play the smaller baby face was a very different way of seeing things. Because I always saw him as usually the bigger guy out of the group. So to see him as the smaller, person using his speed and everything is really cool to see, because Stan Hansen is so much bigger than him.
Yeah. I have to admit, the first match that I ever saw of Terry Funk's was the Barely Legal ECW pay-per-view, where it was the three-way dance between him and Sandman and Stevie Richards, and the winner of that match goes on to wrestle Raven for the title. And it's funny, that was the first ECW show I ever saw, and I already hated Raven, because I'm like, wait a minute, he's the champion and he's going to wrestle the winner. They're going to be dead tired after that match. And and Terry unfortunately bladed too deep, because Raven kicked him, and then he went to a corner and the blood was coming out, and Raven was like hesitant to do anything more. And you see Terry Funk's hand do this, like, come on, kick me again, kick me again, kick me again. It's like, Jesus, there's nothing this guy wouldn't have done to have sold. I mean, he just gave so much to the fans. And for me, that match was special, because, as I mentioned, my dad's three favorite wrestlers, and this is how he learned to speak English, was Bruno Sammartino, Dusty Rhodes, and Terry Funk. So here I'm watching Barely Legal, and my father comes in and he goes, oh, Terry Funk, I used to love Terry Funk. I'm like, well, watch it with me. And it was a bonding moment between my dad and I, and the fact that he was rooting for Terry the whole time, and I started rooting for Terry. And then when he won the belt, we both popped so big. And I'll always have that memory, Terry Funk bringing me and my dad close. That was pretty awesome.
The funny thing of them letting they got him and Cactus Jack, Mick Foley got Vince McMahon to AOK them doing their Japan stuff. Will always be in WWE. Is always going to be a thing I don't think would have ever happened, especially during that time in WWE when he was doing Chainsaw Charlie, and I mean, all the stuff with the him being thrown off the stage in a freaking trash bin. That whole thing was just wild. And of course, the first time I ever saw Terry Funk was when he was getting hit with a pile of chairs. So that was my first time ever seeing Terry Funk, ever was seeing him getting the mountain. I need a chair. And everybody threw a chair.
I remember that opening for the ECW, and I'm like, what the hell? What started that?
Yeah.
And it's like,
they hated the Public Enemies. So Cactus Jack and Terry were they had a match against each other, and the Public Enemy decided to come and interject, and they whooped their butts, and then Terry Funk was saying, oh, throw the chairs out, and you hear them going over the microphone, stop.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
But I tell you though, when they did a series of vignettes with Mick Foley talking about his past in Japan, and then they showed footage of the IWA King of the Death match from '95 at Kawasaki Stadium, I was like, what the hell is that? So I remember at one of the ECW shows that I went to at the Elks Lodge, they had that. They had the IWA King of the Death match, and they had Best of Cactus Jack in Japan. So you got to see Terry and Cactus wrestling in IWA Japan and an FMW. I was like, this is not, they don't even do this in ECW. The amount of barbed wire matches that they had, Terry Funk getting stabbed in the calf by Tiger Jeet Singh, and him yelling, it ain't go through all the way.
It ain't go through all the way.
I'm like, Terry, it's your fucking calf.
I just love that. So my favorite thing about Terry Funk, the fact is that he had a ranch, and he literally called it the Double Cross Ranch. Just always made me, I love that so much. You have no, I mean, the nostalgia. And then he wrestled until like he physically couldn't wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
It's like he kept retiring and then coming back out of retirement just to retire again.
Yeah. That's like Lawler too, man. He's always wrestling, but now he just had a heart attack not too long ago. But I'm sure once he gets better, he'll probably have.
He'll do it again. Yeah, he'll have another heart attack just to do it again. Yeah, he's. And the thing is, like,
well, it's a steady diet of fried chicken that he's having, so
hey,
he ain't going vegan anytime soon.
Hey, you haven't had Gus's, you don't know.
I have not.
We finally got one in Knoxville. It's good.
I just tried the Popeyes Ghost pepper chicken. It was okay. Wasn't that hot?
No, I wouldn't be worried about that. No, Gus's is not hot. But it's got a little spice to it, but it's good. I see why. But
I also remember, I think it was Terry and Chris Candido. They had a barnyard match at WCW, and the horse kicked Terry. He's like, you son of a bitch. He's yelling at the horse.
Yeah, the horse kicks at him and he just goes, you son of a bitch.
He sold it though. He sold the horse.
Because he does a backdrop to freaking Candido. Candido flies over the horse. And you already see the horse is already spooked. And then the horse is already getting the trigger to kick. And then he walks by to kick. You son of a bitch.
Terry Funk should have won on a technicality of disqualification because the horse aided Chris Candido. That's all I'm saying.
I just, it makes me sad that a lot of those ACW stars are no longer with us because some of that stuff is, thinking about it. Like all those really great matches and everything, and most of those guys are there. But yet RVD is still going strong. Shows if you take your Wheaties, folks.
Yeah, he just wrestled like a week or two ago.
Yeah, he literally just wrestled. So
still looks the same too.
Yeah, but
sorry.
Sorry, James. Go ahead.
I think the funny thing is you talked about the FMW things. If it wasn't for Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler doing the concession stand brawls in the empty arena, you would never get Onita seeing it while he was on pilgrimage in Memphis to do FMW.
This is true.
So you won't have all that stuff if it wasn't for him. And, for me, me, I'm not the biggest deathmatch guy out there. But I just loved his pure wrestling. I loved when he just would wrestle. It was he had that animalistic ability with him because it did not look good. His suplexes do not look good. They do not look safe. It looks like he's literally picking up and throwing them down like it's a sack of potatoes. It looked awful.
Well, I was just Wayne and I were talking about the fact that at 53 years old he did a moonsault at Barely Legal, and my response to that was, "What the hell is a 53-year-old doing a moonsault?"
Terry Funk, he was the Mongolians of history. He's the exception.
And I think it was the first, if I remember, that's the first time he ever tried doing that too, right?
Yeah. He just decided he was going to do it there.
Yeah. He told Sandman about it first. He's like, Sandman, I'm thinking about doing a moonsault tonight. And Sandman's response was, what? He's like, hey, who am I to tell Terry Funk he can't do a moonsault? He's a living legend. Go ahead. Yeah. But I will say this, the last match I saw Terry Funk in was ECW One Night Stand 2006. The night that Cena got absolutely destroyed by the audience.
That's such a great thing when he keeps throwing the shirt out. They keep throwing the shirt back in.
Yeah, like we want nothing to do with you, Peacemaker. But that match was Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk versus Cactus Jack and Edge. Yes. And and they had to take Terry Funk to the back end because he was working the eye. He was like my eye, like he re-injured the eye, and then all of a sudden he comes out with I think it was it a hot flaming branding iron, Wayne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus
Christ.
No. First it was the chainsaw, and then it was the
not at ECW One Night Stand.
I swear he brought the chainsaw out for that also.
He brought that out to Dean Ambrose prior to his match.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I get my WWE experiences mixed up there.
That's okay. But so he came out with the hot flaming branding. I'm just like, there's nothing this guy won't do to really make the crowd pop.
He was of the most, like, when people say like the most unpredictable, like, everyone talks about how, like, Brian Pillman was unpredictable, or a live wire, or crazy, little crazy. No, Terry Funk gave me the impression that he was legitimately crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
He was legitimately a psychopath.
Pillman seemed like it was all an act, but Terry Funk, you believed he was actually like that.
Yeah, so yeah, some of the stuff you kind of knew. Okay, that's hokey. That's lame. That that or that's an act. That's acting. No. Terry Funk, I will still go to this day. Like, I would have been like, no, I'm afraid of him. I don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah,
he might just stab me. He might just do that,
or poke you with a branding iron,
or something. Who knows?
I'll never forget his barbed wire match with Sabu at Born to Be Wired. The one where Sabu tears his bicep open.
Oh yeah.
But
I can't believe that one, because he gets like stuck in the barbed wire too. He gets all tangled up in it.
And then Sabu wraps his legs in barbed wire, and then he does the splash on Terry through the table. And finally they counted 1, 2, 3. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and to ECW's credit, they knew they could never top that. So they never tried to do it again.
Yeah.
Which is where I think a lot of deathmatch companies should get the hint.
Oh, are you talking about CCW High?
Are they even around anymore?
Yeah.
Because I got a new bone to pick with freaking ICW No Holds Barred. Right. I mean, every match is a fucking death match, and it's ridiculous. I mean, you want to talk Jim Cornette killing the business? That's killing it. These guys will be freaking, dead and buried before they even get contracts from AEW, WWE, or Impact.
Yeah. You know how I feel about that stuff, so I used to stay out of it. I'm like,
I don't like that stuff either, James. I mean, like, I like a good death match when it's the climax to a story.
Exactly. When everything else has gone, when everything else has gone, when you tried to play nice, and it's now time to not be nice. Which, by the way, shout out to Roadhouse, because Terry Funk was in Roadhouse as well.
Yes, and Paradise Alley with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, I just had to do the be nice until it's time to not be nice, because, well,
that's a Roadhouse.
So
I never saw that movie.
Roadhouse.
Oh, you should.
I know you should. Only because
it's the upper echelon of so bad they're awesomely good movies.
It's true, and it has Sam Elliott in it too. And
you made us watch Motorama, okay?
Exactly. You gotta watch Roadhouse. Okay, Roadhouse is at least enjoyable.
I'll get to
it. But no, just in the fact, he was one of the first ones to start to be one of the wrestlers that branched out into Hollywood.
Right.
Because he was there before Hulk Hogan and all that stuff. Because did he also do like Over the Top?
Yes, he played a bodyguard for Sylvester Stallone's son's father.
So. Yes, exactly.
I was like, wait a minute, that's Terry Funk.
Exactly, that's Terry Funk.
I remember when remember that Hulk Hogan show. What the hell
Thunder
was
in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise. Yeah, I remember
in Paradise.
He was on there, I think, too. I remember
Sting was the villain on that, and I was like, no, Sting's not a villain.
That show was so bad.
Only in your eyes there, brother. He's got a problem with that. That's not going to work here.
No, my goodness. But yeah, it's funny though, because like I also recall that when Ric Flair won the WCW championship in '89, him and Terry had a series of matches as well, which concluded in an I Quit match. And I was like, both of them were still in their prime. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think I can ever say I saw a match with Terry Funk where he wasn't in his prime, because there's nothing he wouldn't have done. But, it was good that they were able to capitalize on that after the Steamboat Flair feud was done. It's funny. Terry never stayed at one place too long. I think the longest that he ever stayed at anywhere was in ECW, because he was always able to go to Japan whenever he wanted, whenever bookings were available for him. And, he was taken really good care of there by the sponsors and stuff. So, and it's funny because I do recall that he was with WWF for a period of time in the 80s.
Yeah, it wasn't for very. I mean, he between there and Memphis would be his most long running outside of Amarillo Southwest Championship Wrestling. Also,
Right, South, because I don't think he ever did world class, right,
no,
James?
no. That was after all that had happened. I don't think he ever did. He might have done UWF, but not.
Mid South, you mean?
Mid South. Oh no. I was talking about the one with the one with Earl Hebner. Did he not, or Herbo Turbo?
No, he was never in that.
Herb Abrams, excuse me.
Herb Abrams.
Yeah. I didn't know if he had done that or not. I just remember him from Memphis. So for me, it's a lot of his Memphis stuff with Lawler just being he did always Florida go
for a while.
Yeah. He'd always go after oh God, I'm forgetting the announcer's name now off the top of my head. Lance Russell. He'd always, for some reason, go after Lance Russell in every promo.
Yeah, but Lance Russell was always Lance Russell's like the cop that goes, "All right, show's over, nothing to see here." You know, like he was always like, "All right," you know, like a guy would be destroying the set and be like, "And he's picking up the chair and hitting the ring." Like
he was always Leslie Nielsen in like the Naked Gun. He'd be like, "Nothing to see here." Oh, okay, now it's over, and here comes Terry Funk with a chair. Oh, here he comes.
There was a charm about Lance Russell, though, but you know,
I love Lance Russell. I absolutely love both Brown and Russell as a team. That was the greatest thing ever. But yes, no, it was just his feud with Lawler was so good, and just I think Lawler let him push about as far as anybody would ever let someone push the promos. Was Lawler pushing it? Because I mean, who else would Lawler allow them to say some of the stuff, the bedroom habits of Jerry Lawler?
You mean the Raby hanger? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I'm definitely saying that too. Yes. You know, the one I love the most is when he's going after Cornette and Russell and just going, "Are you a sissy?"
I remember that.
I see a lot of sissies.
Well, you can't forget him calling Dusty an egg sucking dog. I remember he called him that.
No, Dusty Sucks Eggs is great because he had the shirt. He made the shirt too for their feud in Florida. That was great.
Which
Dusty
was so
Sucks
cheap.
Eggs.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. There will never be another Terry Funk.
He was the most NWA of NWA wrestlers outside of Ric Flair. When I think of an NWA wrestler, I think Terry Funk after Ric Flair.
Yeah, but you know what though? There's a certain respect that I have for Terry Funk that I don't have Ric Flair. That I don't have for Ric Flair. And that's the fact that, Terry wasn't a dirty dog outside of his family life.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've always respected that. And, I mean, it's a shame that his wife passed before he did. He's survived by his 2 daughters and grandchildren, and dementia's a bitch, man. Like, yeah. It's a shame that happened to him. So I love Terry Funk. I'm a Terry Funk fanboy, and rest in peace, good sir. Thank you for the decades of incredible matches and memories you gave us.
Yeah, I think you said it good, Lou.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's a shame. He was a really awesome guy, and I loved his wrestling, and it really gave us a thing to watch. Something to be entertained with. And yeah, so it's very hard to see him pass away. So I don't think we're going to do any music on this episode. I think we've been doing this for a while. So I think we're just going to do a Terry Funk tribute show. This is it.
You know what? He okay. And I think, and I know Terry would not be enjoying all of us waxing poetically about him, as he'd just be like, oh, no, he'd want to pass it to somebody else too. So I think that was always the endearing thing about him. He was never there for him only.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before. When he was in ECW, his purpose was to elevate the other wrestlers, not him, and then I kind of threw 2 particular names, Bulk Logan and Dick Hare, under the bus because they were all about them and not about the business. Terry was not like that. And if Eric Adamz was here, I mean, I'm sure he'd have so many wonderful things to say about Terry. One other funny memory I have of him, though, at the ECW November to Remember of '98, when this was right around the time when he came back after leaving WWF, and he starts involving himself in every match and starts hitting everybody over the head with chairs. Just to hear the thwack he gave the Blue Meanie, I was like, "Oh, Meanie! Oh, that hurt. That sounded like it hurt through the camera."
I bet he felt bad afterwards because Meanie's one of those like nice guys back there, but man, he could take a punch.
Yeah,
that's right, Bradshaw.
Don't tell that to Stevie. He'll pay you back.
Colin Madden, it must be answered one of your questions or something you guys said before. I think Dusty after Flair as an NWA guy.
I get that, but I just think because Dusty and Flair, they all stayed in like they're known for their spots. They're known for their territories. Terry didn't have a per se territory that he was known for. I could tell you that he was, you could talk about the great matches he had in, Mid-Atlantic. You could tell about all the great matches he did with Dusty in Florida. You could tell the ones he did with Lawler in Memphis. You don't hear when he was in Amarillo, he had the great match with, that was more Dory. That Dory was the champion there. Dory ran that territory. He was the one that was traveling around being the all I can say is, Alexa, play Desperado.
I think
Alexa, get us.
I think a great theme song for Terry, actually more than Desperado. I would have loved to have heard him come out to Lonesome, Henri, and Mean from Waylon Jennings. That would have been perfect for him.
Anything Waylon would have been perfect for him.
I didn't get the Desperado thing.
Desperado was his theme, and
no, I know. I just didn't. It didn't work. I wish he would pick something else.
I think he was going for him being an
old guy, and being like I understand because of the lyrics. I guess the lyrics fit with his personality, the character or whatever. But
he never came to his senses, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah, he still talked about that jackass that he loved that he had to shoot. I didn't know if you guys had talked about that one yet or not, so that's why I was saving that one.
No, we're kind of like waiting for you because you're the wrestling guy. But
one time I had this jackass. Continue.
I love that jackass.
Is there one interview or one thing that I can put up for before we leave? You can think of.
Did you talk about the ECW one with Raven when he's sitting in the locker room there and he starts elevating Raven? You remember that one, Lou?
Terry Funk Raven.
I remember that one where he says, he starts saying like, "Your mother never loved you" and stuff like that.
Exactly. Eric showed me that one, and that one is probably his best promo I've ever heard him say outside of the Memphis stuff. Have you done the "Are You a Sissy"?
No, I did not do that one.
Oh,
right about now is where we were about to play the Terry Funk Raven promos. However, due to a copyright infringement, we had to take the video down. So, sorry, you should have watched it live. Thanks for nothing, WWE.
Oh my god.
Aaron Love.
Oh, so good.
Goosebumps watching.
Oh my god, who's that?
So good.
Are we being joined by Eric Adamz from Deep South Wrestling?
The sultry one.
What are you eating?
And we can't hear him while he eats.
Hey, Eric, we're live. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Nothing.
Much.
We decided to drop the music theme for the show tonight and just do an all-night tribute to Terry Funk.
How much are you going to eat? What the hell's going on over there?
The grown boy.
I can see that.
I had a sandwich and now I'm having the fries. What's the big deal?
Why are you eating them with a fork? Looks like macaroni and
Because it's
cheese.
cheese fries.
Uh-huh.
You eat cheese fries with your hands, Wayne?
Yeah.
No, I use a fork for cheese fries.
Yeah,
Sissy.
that's sussy right there.
No
Wayne.
way.
That's
You
sussy.
use your hands like a man.
Dude, no,
Wayne's
I
married
don't
and
want
doesn't have
freaking.
to worry about using his fingers on anything. So,
I don't want cheese going.
Oh, hi you.
Talk
Do you
about
own-
extreme.
Do you own any other shirts than that one? Because that's the only shirt I ever see you in.
my Henzo Gracie one.
Yeah.
He's on
Nah, I own the entire Roots of Fight library of tank tops. Okay, they were on sale for like $10 a piece, like a year ago.
Well, anyways, man, good to see you again. Been a while since you've been around.
Great to be back.
You got a show coming up in Atlanta, Georgia, coming soon.
Do.
That's right, September 9th, the Grand Prix. It'll be the first time we crown a new Deep South heavyweight champion since the year 2007. Special guests include Eric Bischoff, who's the Grand Marshal,
Oh,
Teddy
wow.
Long, Rock and Roll Robert Gibson, and Nick Patrick, of course, will be in the house. We got, seven big tournament matches on a Mexican death match with Cosmo Martinez versus a person from his past. It's going to be at Das Barbecue, and thanks to 7 Stages fucking us over, it's now a free show, so everybody can just watch it for free. That shows up.
Where will they be able to watch it? Will they be able to watch it live, or will it be pre-taped?
We will have it live to tape for everybody on the internet to see it. Put your middle finger away. Why is your middle finger in your ear?
You, Lou.
That's what I always do. This is my let the person speak pose. Sorry.
Fuck you. This is my show. How dare you promote anything?
I was the one that told you to promote it, fool. Go ahead.
And then
So
you gave me
let's
the
tape.
finger for doing it.
I was not giving the finger. I realized it's
Eric,
subtly I'm giving the
Eric,
finger. I
over
apologize.
under on Teddy Long issuing a tag team match at Das Barbecue.
Shut up.
It's a meme anyway.
No, right now the over-under is how long till he calls me a motherfucker in front of everybody.
Oh, Teddy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's him.
Well, you're not Ric Flair. He shouldn't have beef with you.
He doesn't have beef with me, but he just calls everybody a motherfucker.
Okay, I've been burying Ric Flair a lot on this episode. You know why? Because I just rewatched the Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark
That
Side
must
of
have
the
been
Ring.
it. You're really fired up right now.
Well, the fact that he had the audacity to call out JR on his podcast for saying he has no credibility with him whatsoever. Motherfucker, you have no credibility.
Ric Flair's a big fan of a hairy bush.
Mm.
It was literally a saying back in the day, no hair, no flair. So at least we know Ric Flair liked his girls over age.
As opposed
Speaking
to
of
what
Memphis promos,
Terry
of
Funk
Terry
said
Funk,
about
yeah.
Jerry Lawler.
I'm gonna pronounce this wrong.
Arabi Graper.
Moruki? Yakunat. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry, but hello. The person says hi, everyone.
Let me see his name and I can do it.
MOR.
Let me see it. You got to let me see it. I can
How do I
pronounce
let you see
dummy.
it?
This is
Put his
on
comments up.
StreamYard, sir.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
so
on
it,
YouTube.
why'd you get rid of StreamYard?
I never used
Kunitatsu.
Do you have any stories, Mr. Adams, about Terry Funk? Did you ever get to meet Terry Funk? Did you ever get to do anything with Terry Funk?
The first time I met Terry Funk was at the Elks Lodge in Queens, New York. Right after the Barely Legal pay-per-view, he autographed my ECFNW t-shirt.
Madhouse of Extreme.
Then he went on to wrestle Raven in what was one of the best matches I've ever seen out of both men together in their careers later on. I mean, Terry Funk, of course, you got to talk about his great matches with Steamboat and with Flair and his great matches back in the... That was the first time I met him, and he saw me smoking a cigarette. He's like, "Dad, gum, kitty. How about Sonny, you give an old man a Marlboro?" And I got to meet him that time. The next time I met Terry Funk in person was at MLW in the Manhattan Center for the second ever MLW show, where me and Tim Morrison wrestled Steve Dr. Death Williams and James Bronson from NXT. He was called PJ Freeman at the time. Terry Funk wrestled on that card. That was the night La Parka caved the woman I was fucking around with head in with a chair because he dumped it over the top rope. It was La Parka versus Shocker, and she was at ringside doing timekeeping. La Parka takes a bump over the top rope. His chair cracks her in the top of the head, busts her head open. And so they have to bring her to the back. Terry Funk, being the river he is, because I didn't realize at that time, I didn't know La Parka was the killer that he is of a real human being. He goes, Sonny, you got to defend your girl if you know what's right for you. So I go to La Parka to say something, and that was the first time I ever got knocked out cold by a punch in my life.
Oh, dear Lord.
Don't mess
I'm
with
just
the
being real.
chairman. Don't mess with the chairman.
I learned my lesson that night. Funny enough, everybody was proud of me for standing up to Parka. We didn't go past that. There was a company called Trans South Wrestling out of South Carolina. And Derek Vanderford and his dad, Freddie Vanderford, always had a great relationship with Terry Funk. And they'd bring Terry and his wife, Vicky, to South Carolina to the compound they had. They had this house with like 4 houses attached. And Terry'd come hang out, and then he would teach us. I decided I wanted to pay tribute to Terry on a show one night that Terry was at, and there's a spot called the Seesaw where you're sitting on the second rope with your legs on the inside of the ring and the other half of your body on the outside. When you get hit, you fall back, but you use the top rope to bring you back up. I did that as a tribute to Terry Funk because I know he wasn't wrestling, and I knew later in the show he was supposed to kick my ass. But I also knew Terry was also at the point where his vision wasn't that good, and the guy I was wrestling looked a lot like me. So I proceeded to tell Terry when we got back, he's like, who the hell stole my spot? I was like, Mr. Funk, it was this gentleman right over here. I told him not to do it. So Terry's like, okay, Sonny, I'll tell you what. When we go out there, you make sure I get a good opening on him. I was like, absolutely, Mr. Funk. So I purposely said, hey, since you're not in this match and I'm not, let's change into our street clothes. So this way, when Terry does, when we come out, it looks more organic. He's like, oh, that's a great idea. I said, yeah. We get out there. I start putting the boots to the guy. Then here comes the other guy. Terry's down selling. As soon as Terry gets up, I go, Terry, that's him. And Terry just... So with Terry Funk, you got 1 or 2 punches. You either got one that hurt or you got one that fucked you up because he was left-handed. And I just saw Terry go, I mean, you son of a bitch. And the guy's like, but Terry, pal, but Mr. Fuck. Finally, he goes, I'm the baby face. And Terry goes, oh, God dang. And then he comes to get me. And by that point, I made Chase Brown eliminate me out the ring. It's like, so we go to the bar afterwards. It was a Mexican restaurant a block down we used to go to after all the shows because they had for $4, you got a mug this big of Dos Equis. And so we're all having beer. Terry comes out. He's like, give me one of those cigarettes, boy. Give him one of my cigarettes. He lights it. He's looking at distance. He goes, Dadgum, you got me tonight. You got me tonight. You think you're so funny. You got me tonight. And I was like, oh, Terry, I love you. I just wanted to be on the same side as you for once.
That's awesome.
Right when I said that, Terry was like, well, I love you too then, damn it.
Yeah, I always knew that Terry Funk did chew. I didn't know he smoked too.
Marlboro Red 100s.
At least he grabbed the right choice. Anywho.
Why do you think I switched from Camels back in the day?
That's a good point. Okay.
That was my tribute
goodness.
to Terry Funk.
Yeah, I
love Terry Funk.
I feel cheated though because I think I recall it was SummerSlam '98, and one of the matches was supposed to be the New Age Outlaws versus
Cactus and Terry.
And Terry was taken out before the match. I think before the event started. On
was that the dumpster spot?
No, that was WrestleMania.
Oh.
Terry had to go have surgery. So they took him out of the match. You're talking about the SummerSlam with Taker and Stone Cold as the main event.
I was there, yeah. And I was so upset because I was like, I'm finally going to see Terry Funk. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not gonna see Terry Funk.
Words,
so
no,
pissed.
you were at the ECW show where Funk came back as a heel against Dreamer. You were with me that night.
No, I was not at that one. I was at the
No,
November one.
You were at the next one.
I was at the November one, and then I was at the February one. The November one was the one where it was main event was Dreamer and Van Dam, and then the next one was when Dreamer joined the Triple Threat. So I did not go to that December one. Damn it! Thanks, Dad.
It happens. No, which was the one that I showed you where the bar was so we could all hang out with the boys, and you got to talk to Jerry Land and them.
That was the last one when they had the TNN deal, which ended up
was the TNN deal, yeah, because I was standing behind the bar pouring drinks, even though I didn't even fucking work there. Louis actually witnessed that.
Yes, and
I knew Raven was there before anybody else did, because Raven came over. He's like, let me get a vodka.
This is where I said, anytime Eric Adamz tells you something that could be a lie, don't bet on it, because it's more than likely the truth. That's when I came up with that statement.
James has lived it. James has lived Nashville, Tennessee. has lived Nashville, Tennessee with the entire fucking beeline roster of the WWE.
And the future Mrs. Bryan Danielson.
Yes. James has lived enough of the stories to realize that about me, where I'm like, come on, we're going to do this. Why? Just don't worry about it.
All right, fine.
And speaking of the show coming up at Das Barbecue with DSW Deep South Wrestling, are there any special announcements that you can make about it, such as any licensing deals or?
Actually, yeah. Thank you for telling me that. For reminding me. Severed Angel, of course. We're using their great music as our theme for the entire season. This entire season, we're using one of their great songs that when the shows start airing.
With Wings Anew, thank you.
Yeah, with Wings Anew from Severed Angel. They were nice enough to give us the song. I love the song personally. I got to ask you guys a question. I know you're all married, but I have to ask this question just to see if it's just me. I'm now in the same age group as you old codgers, but I had to go to cryotherapy today. And there's this girl who works there, pretty cute. She changed her name from, a human name to a name of a species of animal. I can deal with that. 24, cute. Now, when you go to cryotherapy, the women get completely naked and they give you some socks and slippers and some gloves to wear, and it works wonders. But for the guys, you got to wear boxers. Am I the bastard for fluffing before I took the shorts off?
Good night, everybody.
Me fluffing myself before the girl.
Dude, I'm not touching that with a 20-foot pole.
I mean, I understand, you were worried about shrinkage there because, you were going to be in the pool, Mr. Costanza.
No, I didn't have to worry about that because she can't see what's going on inside the tube because it's just my head and there's a covering over my head.
Wait. So you were fluffing yourself in the cryo chamber while you were getting the cryotherapy.
Okay, what does fluffing mean in this context?
Warming up the beans,
stretching it out to be half mass. So this way, everything looks a lot more grander in the long run.
He was getting everything camera ready.
Yes.
Wow, the massage parlors have taken a whack ass turn. So, okay, anyway, never mind.
No, but am I the prick for fluffing myself a little bit so I could be more grander looking?
I mean, because Austin Powers was who famous the Swedish made penis enlarging pump. So,
well, I couldn't bring that in. It would have been frozen to me.
No, it's made of glass, so no, it wouldn't have.
All right.
A little bit.
Any other?
I don't know. Wayne, Wayne, you visit the massage parlors. You cheat on your wife. How do you?
Yeah, okay.
Do you fluff?
Any other Terry Funk video we can
watch?
Oh,
here comes a chair shot.
Terry Funk, Jerry Lawler, Memphis interview.
I've already got the sissy one queued up.
No.
Something that we're not going to get kicked off of YouTube for.
The Terry Funk Memphis 07. Oh, no, wait. Did I know you in 07, James? Or So 06.
Yeah.
YouTube, Terry Funk, Memphis promos. It's the best because I'm the reason that's on the internet. Because I was in Memphis at the time wrestling, and I saw, and I finally ran into the guy who used to produce the Memphis show, and he still had the video. I said, bro, you have to, you know what, son of a bitch, I'm going to find it right now.
Hey, Jerry! I hate your ever-loving guts. I hate you with a passion. Jerry Lawler, I hate you. I can't believe that a wrestling fan walked up to me out in the middle of Texas, Amarillo, Texas, and he said to me, do you know who my 5 favorite wrestling legends are, Terry Funk? And I said, no, who are they? And he said, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Mick Foley, Dusty Rhodes, and I said, don't go any further. Don't go any further. And me, Terry Funk. And he said, why no? Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry the King Lawler! I drew back and I knocked his lights out. Hulk Hogan, I can understand him, even though he's an egomaniac. I can understand Ric Flair being in that group, even though he has a banana nose. I can understand Dusty Rhodes, even though he's an egg-sucking dog. I can understand Mick Foley, even though he's a satchel ass. But I can't understand why he would put Jerry Lawler in there.
Here it comes.
Does he know who he's talking about? Does he know the Bob Barker look? Does he know about the transplants? Does he know Jerry Lawler is a baby banger? A baby banger. A baby banger. And do you know that his partner, Jimmy Hart, is nothing but a cheap thief? He was my manager in New York, and he insisted that we shared rooms. So I would share a room with him, and in the middle of the night, he would sneak into my pockets and steal my change. Later on, he was Hulk Hogan's manager, and Hulk Hogan said he insisted on staying with him. And in the middle of the night, he would sneak into his pockets and steal his change. And now he's back with you, Jerry Lawler. And I'll tell you one thing for certain that I know, and that you know too. Jimmy Hart is sneaking up on you and putting his hands in your pockets, your front pockets, but he's not looking for his change. And what's worse than that, you know what he's looking for. Lawler, I've hated you all of my life, and I'm going to continue to hate you until we have finality. That's why I am bringing this. It's yours, and I am giving it back to you at the Memphis Coliseum. That's right, I'm going to give it back to you on August the 28th. And Corey Mack, help is on the way. Help is on the way. I think I've heard that somewhere before.
God bless.
Here we go. Watch this one now.
I look through my good eye and I see my lovely wife and family. And I look through my bad eye and I see an ugly yellow haze. I look through my good eye at my lovely dog and I see the dog. I look through my right eye and I see Old Yeller, and he's a goddamn Jack Russell. Lawler, come closer. Come closer, Jerry. I want you to see the hate in my face.
I love Terry. Here it comes. Give it
Don't
up, Terry.
back away.
So fucking great.
That's the thing about Memphis. At least it looked like they were always having fun.
Do you see that hate, Lawler? Do you see that hate?
He's nuts.
Tonight at the Mid-South Coliseum, I'll be in the ring with you, Lawler. We're going to have some finality to this. We're going to have some closing. We're going to close it out, Lawler. And I don't mind if I die closing it out.
And then you hear Terry laugh in the back is the best. I
That's
love
right,
Terry
Jerry.
Funk.
She looks like she has fun on the seesaw. Anyways.
That's the thing about Terry Funk, man. Terry was the best. And now I get to share the last story. The last time I saw him, he actually was in Atlanta, and this is when I was doing my feud with Landon Hale. And we were at APCW, and he came by just to hang out and watch. And we did what was a career versus career match. Honestly, to this day, I still say that was my best storytelling match I ever did. People really didn't know who was going to win. And we took him on a 34.5-minute roller coaster of emotions. And when it was done, Terry Funk's exact words to me were,
Take your time.
he told me he wishes he was about 20 more years younger because he would have loved to fucking work a program with me. And that was the greatest compliment I got. And, at that point, you guys all knew me at that point. After he said that, that's when, if you noticed, I dropped another 30 pounds. I was literally in the best shape of my career because I was like, fuck you. We're going to do that. We're going to do that story. We're going to do that match. And then the pandemic came and everything got thrown for a loop. And then Terry got sick again. And, some of us knew how sick he was. And some of us, were able to stay in touch with him. And I wasn't one of them, but I knew people who did. And there's a bunch of people who are really, really sad and bummed out tonight because Hulk Hogan's my favorite wrestler of all times.
I never knew that.
Hulk Hogan's my all-time favorite. That was the guy who got me into the business. Then you got Tommy Dreamer. Then you got Terry Funk. And then you have Kenta Kobashi. That's my 5. That 5 has never changed, never will change. And
I think that's 4, dude. Who's the 5th? You said
Hogan,
Flair.
Funk,
not Flair.
Hogan,
Dreamer, Funk, Kobashi.
Funk, Dreamer, Kobashi, and Lawler.
Oh, and Lawler.
Oh, Lawler.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Jerry Lawler, to me, Jerry Lawler is the greatest. He's the greatest top guy performer. If I ever started a wrestling company, I would want Jerry Lawler because Jerry Lawler knew how to be in the main event 52 weeks a year in one fucking town. That's hard. Run the same town 52 times a year, you're going to have up and downs. But when Lawler was on fire, it didn't matter if the opponent was good or not. Lawler made people good. And Lawler just was an amazing star. Jerry Lawler always, to me, was just the greatest guy. If I could have a Jerry Lawler, I could run a weekly show and I would be fine. When he
would drop that shoulder strap in Memphis, everybody would blow the entire crowd would go crazy because they knew it was about to happen.
I was on the other side of that. I was on the other side of that, and it was fucking amazing, the reaction. Literally, he just went boom, and he slowly went like this, and then just dropped quick, and you just saw the crowd go, whoa! 5,000 people in that 10,000-seat Coliseum. But I swear to God, that was the loudest thing I ever heard in my life was when he finally dropped that fucking strap and then started hitting me with the punches. It was amazing. And then when he lifted me for the pile driver, fuck, just the everybody doing that at once. Unbelievable. Jerry Lawler said the greatest, and I think Jerry Lawler's legitimately the greatest professional wrestler of all times, meaning like can carry a territory week for week in the same town, which is incredibly hard. It's a little bit easier in the WWE, AEW, and places like that because every week you're in a different town. So after about 2 years, someone can get over. It's going to take another 5, 6, 7 years before they lose that heat. Jerry Lawler has flat out said, and there was this really cool tribute that WWE did today. And Jerry Lawler even said Terry Funk's the greatest professional wrestler of all times. And, you can't deny it. You can't deny that. And I mean, Terry Funk worked everywhere, legitimately everywhere. All Japan, New Japan, FMW, IWA, WWF, WWWF, NWA, St. Louis,
Big time wrestling in Detroit.
Big time in Detroit, Calgary, Puerto Rico,
Florida,
Dominican
Georgia,
Florida, Georgia, everywhere. Terry Funk worked everywhere on top as the top heel, and at a time when Harley Race and Jack Briscoe and when Dory, Jack, Harley, gods in this wrestling business, Jack Briscoe, Harley Race, Dory Funk Jr. were trading that NWA heavyweight title back and forth. Terry got a year-long run with that belt, and Terry was a hell of an NWA champion as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Had a hell of a run, and then you got to look at how many guys would say they've had a 50-year career.
Not many.
50-year a 50-year in-ring career where they wrestled matches to the end. There's not a lot of people like that. And then on top of that, how many guys can you say, 55, 60 years old, still wrestling on pay-per-view?
Not many. I mean, I remember when the Hardcore Homecoming documentary Forever Hardcore came out. And it's funny because, you heard some of the guys from ECW say, complimentary things towards a few guys. Others like Taz, although I love Taz and thought he was great in ECW, they were saying, he thought too highly of his gimmick and whatever. They're allowed to think that because they were there with him. None of them had a bad thing to say about Terry Funk.
He gave back to everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, when you brought up all those names, all those people had their territory except for Terry Funk.
Terry,
you had Harley, who was in St. Louis. You had you had Dusty in Florida. You had Lawler in Memphis. You had Flair in Mid Atlantic. And he would go everywhere and do. And Briscoe. I mean, I forget exactly where the Briscoes were, but Georgia.
Who were?
And
sorry,
Sheik,
James, go ahead.
And Sheik in Detroit and all that. And he would go everywhere and be the heel, and then he would move on. So he was never in one spot, but he was everywhere. So you might not have seen Terry Funk, but everyone knew who Terry Funk was.
Who did he wrestle in New York?
Terry Funk?
Yeah, did he ever wrestle Bruno?
He came into so the WWF run, him and Dory were brought in at that time to wrestle in the 70s with Tony Garea and Ricky Martel.
Mm-hmm.
When Rick Martel and Tony Garea were the tag team champions, the Funks were brought in to do a couple garden cards with them. And then when he came back the second time was after
he had a
Vince
singles
Jr.
run in the
over.
80s, right?
Yeah.
He technically was supposed to have a tag team run, and there was the Funk family. So it was supposed to be, it was Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., who was now called Haas Funk, and then Sandy Barr, who they called Jimmy Jack Funk. And Jimmy Jack Funk used to wear like a Lone Ranger mask with 2 stars on the side.
I remember that.
So Jesse Barr is the reason why the Rockers got fired after their first night in the company. He was the one who started the whole thing, wanting to see how hard they could party and everything like that.
Oh boy, and I know that.
Yeah, you know you heard Marty tell the story.
I know that story.
Yeah. So
they did cover that on Dark Side of the Ring, by the way.
No, they did not. No, they did not.
Not the
No,
full
they
extent.
did not. No, they did not.
You need to get Marty with a plate of spaghetti in front of him to actually hear the real side of the story.
I think I want to be kept far away from Mr. Jannetty. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's the best.
James thoroughly enjoyed his time being the handler for me and Marty Jannetty at the same time.
Mean Metal Mike says Mick Foley was Funk's best rival.
Yes. Okay, for
I
my
love those matches in
childhood,
Japan.
They were awesome.
so for my childhood, I would say yes. Meaning like my teenage years when I was starting to come out of the innocence of pro wrestling and I was starting to become a teenager and wanting something a little more dark and heavy, the Funk Cactus, Funk Foley, Funk Mankind storyline arc is amazing when you look at it through every company it's been through. Because it started in IWA Japan with the King of the Death Match tournament. Then after that, they had a couple more big matches, and one of them finally, Terry Funk, just him and Cactus are crawling and they shake hands. To then Cactus Jack's the babyface in ECW, and they do. It's called the Funk in a Box angle. So they had the Sandman hiding in a box after DC Drake has to wrestle Cactus Jack. They have this box DC Drake comes out of, then they knock Sandman into that box. Cactus goes to grab Sandman from the box. You see the cover, so all you see is his Sean Kemp's and his USA flag fucking Zubaz's. And then he pulls, and then Cactus has the kendo stick and he pulls the drape off the head, and it's Terry Funk dressed just like the Sandman that night. And it was one of the loudest pops ever, was that the return of the Funker. To then when Cactus turns heel and turns on Tommy Dreamer, so Terry Funk comes back in, and they have that infamous, that promo where Cactus is fighting Tommy and Terry's trying to egg Cactus back in the ring, just yelling, "Your mother's a whore, Dewey's a whore," just going off, which then led to that really great tag team November to Remember main event.
What was the line that actually set off Cactus Jack? Eric Bischoff's an asshole, and then he went a beeline towards Terry.
Yeah. And it's the best, and then you look past that, and then you look, it was always a great feud. Even they revisited it a little bit in the WWE. I loved all that. I think Funk and Dusty were always some great matches too to see. Those Funk and Dusty matches in Florida were great. Funk Lawler goes without saying. Funk Lawler had so much heat they were able to present the worst match in wrestling history, that empty arena match, which is terrible. But the heat was so white hot, people demanded to see the fucking footage. And before everybody could see it, it had such folklore as being like one of the greatest angles of all times. Funk and Gilbert in the early ECW days was amazing. Funk's done a lot of great stuff.
And to his credit, in the dying days of the original Major League Wrestling, he was really trying to put Steve Corino over too.
Oh, absolutely. He was trying to do everything he could with that. Major League Wrestling had a chance a few times, but it is what it is. And
they're
Terry,
doing well now. So. Okay,
anyway.
Never mind. Forget I mentioned that.
They still owe me money. They still owe me money from the second show. I've never been paid for that match I had with Steve Dr. Death Williams and James Bronson. So I don't care. I'll say it publicly. What are they going to do? Not book me? Good luck with your antitrust lawsuit, court.
We got Deep South Wrestling now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always brought up the I loved his match with Stan Hansen in Japan.
Oh, the old Japan stuff. Yeah,
where he's doing where he gets to actually play the smaller baby face against the bigger heel, and it's so amazing to watch him do that.
If you want to see Terry Funk's greatest babyface sell job, You have to watch the World Tag League 1978. It's the Funks versus Abby and the Sheik. And it's the end of the tag team carnival. And they have this amazing match with all the drama. Abby's got like a pick to scrape plaque with, and he's stabbing it in Terry's arm, and Terry's bleeding from the arm. And it's just amazing. I'll send it to you. It's great. And then, you watch, even in Impact, when Terry came into Impact in the early days, he came in to work with Raven and Punk and all them, and he was still trying his damnedest and putting on some great work there too. So, Terry's just one of those guys. And, you're not going to find even his last match against Tommy Dreamer for All Wrestling Entertainment, whatever it was called, in Virginia. They still had a fun one there where they did Tommy Dreamer versus Terry Funk, and that was the last match, like on a major stage, Terry did. And I actually stole this, and I did it at a PCW show one time. The match starts. Terry's like, "I don't want to fight you no more, Dreamer. I love you. I love you too much. I love you like a son. And I'm old, and I'm tired of fighting. And I just want to hug you right now, and I want us to pray." And so he's like, "Come here, put your head down. Referee, put your head down." And he starts saying this prayer. And then at the end he goes, "And God, please remember, oh God, remember, sometimes you're just a miserable old bastard like me." And it Tommy with the fucking microphone. And I died of laughter. And they can start, the match goes from there. It was tremendous. Hey, I got to take this call. Hold on, guys. You guys talk.
All right. Now we're going to end this show. It's
Yeah,
almost
we'll end this. This was fun. That's one of the best ways to end Terry Funk, with the classic Terry Funkism.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks everybody for joining us. I had a lot of fun talking about Terry Funk. We didn't do any music, but we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we always got next week. We don't, this is always fun to do. I think.
Yes, our 3 least favorite debut albums. I picked 11, so I have to cut it down.
Yeah, maybe we'll make it like 5 or something. Because
shocking! I'm going to choose Killers for one of them.
Wait.
You probably won't even be here.
What's the question?
3 worst debut albums.
Least favorite or the worst debut albums.
The worst debut albums for bands that were good?
No,
in general.
In general.
Oh, that's real simple. I'm gonna go Sugar Ray.
No, what?
I like Lemonade and Brownies. That's the only album I like from them.
No, that's the Shrinky Dinks. I'm talking about Sugar Ray 1545.
That's their second album.
1445. Okay.
That's the second album.
Okay, debut albums. That's real simple.
Actually, no, that's the third album, and I actually like that album.
We'll go Constantinople by Phoenix Rain.
That's a single.
It wasn't.
What was the name
have
of the
singles back then. Destination Unknown.
Okay, Destination. No. Okay.
Severed Angel.
Honestly, worse.
Oh, they suck.
And Project Resurrect.
I was gonna say Project Resurrect is all.
Project Resurrect,
which you can buy at projectresurrect.bandcamp.com and sevenangel.bandcamp.
There it is.
And I'll be talking about the Ghost of Monomoth concert I went to recently.
Yeah. The fact that we don't have a video of Lou doing the row is a very sad thing.
I sent it to you.
You did not send anything to me.
I replied to you on Facebook. I had the row.
Where's my row video to see? I sent you videos of me in my underwear moshing at King Diamond. Well, Merciful Fate, excuse me. One even better. I'm doing that at Merciful Fate.
It's
you
true.
Can't
He
send
did
me a
take his
video of
pants
you
off
rowing.
at the Merciful Fate concert.
I was in my underwear moshing. What song was it, Louis?
You need to send me that video. I could put that on the King Diamond podcast.
Yes, you should. I'm gonna get King Diamond as a guest one of these days for you. Yeah. I'll make it happen.
Good luck. All right, go pump your gas.
I'm not pumping gas. I'm going to get cigarettes, but I can still talk to you while I walk into the store.
We're done.
We're wrapping the show up, Eric.
We're leaving.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're leaving,
you guys.
Have a good night, Eric.
Guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Great to be on.
Everybody hit subscribe. September 9th.
September 9th, DSW.
Grand Prix. Go to Instagram, Facebook, Deep South Wrestling for more information. Fucking, I'm gonna lose my ass on this one anyway, so Wayne will start a GoFundMe for me, hopefully. And this time they're gonna do like a Jose Aid song where we're just gonna get a bunch of like dead and bloated musicians to fucking sing a song for me. But love you guys. Mean it.
Love
See
you
you
too.
guys later.
I think Cornette will really say we're killing the business.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Hit subscribe. Until then, see you later, you egg sucking dogs.
Dimoni.
I love that jackass.
Jerry Lawler's a baby. I can't say it.
A baby banger.
Oh,
Your
geez.
mother's a
Baby
whore.
banger.
Your mother's a whore.
Your son's a whore.
Your son's a whore.
You New York City fans think you're so funny with your New York Mets.